Week 8 of the NFL season is officially in the books, all but one Monday Night Football game between Kansas City and Washington. But in today's video, we're going to sit back, recap, discuss, and talk about every single game from NFL Week 8. I think we have some MVP candidates starting to really emerge, some really fun games, some teams really dropping the ball. So, got my coffee here. Shout out the boy Drizzy, how you doing? And let's talk about these games, man. As we always do, we're gonna kick it back to the Thursday night football game. This is a game that I already got a full recap on the channel for, so if you're a fan of either of these teams and want something longer to digest, it is available to you. I thought the Chargers absolutely dominated this football game. I think that we have seen, not just in this game, but over the course of the NFL the past couple weeks, that backup quarterbacks are just that for a reason. They do somewhat run their course and they are limited, and once defensive coordinators see them for a while, it's kind of much easier to figure them out. The Carson Wentz time in Minnesota should be coming to an end. I would expect JJ McCarthy to be back out there starting this upcoming week, because it feels like, especially the last 2 weeks, we've just seen the worst of Carson Wentz. Justin Herbert, the guy's an absolute beast. Right now, I mean, the Chargers had a run game in this game, which I think speaks to the lack of defense in terms of rush defense that the Minnesota Vikings have. Kamani Vidal, 23 for 117 and a touchdown. I mean, 207 total rushing yards for the Chargers. If they're able to get that production, this is what we're going to see. Joe Alt might be, outside of Justin Herbert, the most important player on the Los Angeles Chargers. As long as Herbert, Alt, and Jim Harbaugh are out there, I know that people are going to say I'm crazy. I think that this team has a realistic shot to go on a Super Bowl run in an AFC full of teams that I'm not sure if I trust them at this point in time. I obviously believe in Kansas City, but I watched this Chargers team with Omarion Hampton beat Kansas City on that opening night in Brazil, so I want to see that game again. Denver, I've seen this Chargers team beat that Denver team. The Colts, obviously, they beat the Chargers, but no Joe Alt in that game. Like, when I look at the top tier contenders in the AFC, I do think that the Chargers, because of their head coach, because of their defense, and because of their quarterback, if Joe Alt is out there to give him time and they can have a real run game, can compete with anybody. Moving on, my Philadelphia Eagles picked up a win 38-20 over the New York Giants. The Eagles moved to 6-2. The Giants fall to 2-6. Obviously, all of our thoughts, prayers, well wishes, wherever you land on that, are with Cam Scatterbo. That was a really gruesome injury. Brutal to see. Tough for the Giants, man. The offense was looking really, really fun. Now you're out Scatterbo. You were already out Malik Neighbors. On the bright side for the Giants, I do think Jackson Dart is absolutely the truth in a game like this where you couldn't afford a turnover. He didn't give you one. He gave you a passing touchdown. He gave you a rushing touchdown. The rest of this Giants season, especially with that schedule, it's just not about wins and losses to me. I feel like they are one of the better, more exciting 2-6 teams I can remember, because it feels like they have a real core there, and going into 2026, they should be very, very strong. For Philadelphia, man, without A.J. Brown in this game, there were question marks around what this offense would look like. Saquon Barkley, he finally bounces back. He has by far his best game of the season, 150 rushing yards, 2 total touchdowns, 1 through the air, 1 on the ground. Tank Bigsby, I believe, has claimed that backup role in Philadelphia with 9 for 104. And we got to talk about the guy, Jalen Hurts. 15 of 20 for 179 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, a 141.5 passer rating. Jalen Hurts should unequivocally, undoubtedly be in MVP conversations across football. If Jalen Hurts is not in your MVP conversation, I don't know what we're doing. He has led a 6-2 team with one of the hardest strength of schedules in terms of opponents' win percentage this season in the NFL. The last 2 weeks, he has had a passer rating over 140. Last week was perfect. This week, 141. On the season, when you bring in his rushing touchdowns, which are not just all tush push, he has a 20-2 touchdown to interception ratio. That's 10-1. That's absolutely elite. In this game, without his wide receiver 1, he balled out. For the past 7 weeks, without a real consistent run game, he has won them football games. Jalen Hurts deserves his flowers, because as loud as the criticism was 2 weeks ago for that Giants game, which it wasn't good, He answered the call and then some. At this bye week, the Philadelphia Eagles are 6-2, the most wins of any team in the NFC. The Packers are still the 1 seed because they got that 5-1-1 record. And in post Eagles bye, they have a matchup on Monday Football with the Packers and then play the Lions. So I'm not saying to go bet Jalen Hurts to win MVP, but if you think that the Eagles are going to win or could win those games, I don't think it's bad value. I don't think it's bad value at all. You know, I'm not going to use this game as a stepping point to talk about A.J. Brown. Should they trade him? Should they not trade him? I don't think there's a shot in hell that A.J. Brown gets moved this season. Is it possible this offseason if he truly is disgruntled? Absolutely. I just don't see a team being able to put together enough of a package to entice Philadelphia, a 6-2 team, to move on from a premier player that they already know can help them win a Super Bowl for draft capital at this point in time. It feels like a much more of an off-season move. If a team were to come, like the Patriots are the prime example, if they were to come and offer Christian Gonzalez, maybe something could get done this season. I don't see them offering that, and I don't see the Eagles moving on from a player that helps them now for draft capital. Philly is absolutely rolling, and it's a good time for a bye because Saquon did get a little banged up. A.J. Brown's a little banged up, but 2 months in, and this team, similar to Kansas City, man, is starting to look really dangerous and starting to look like the team that was just in the Super Bowl. The Atlanta Falcons pretty much proved exactly why they went to Michael Penix over Kirk Cousins in yesterday's contest, as they fall to the Miami Dolphins 34-10. The Atlanta Falcons, this is a team that you cannot trust, man. This is just an untrustworthy team. If you have bets on them to win the South, cash them out. It's just not a trust. This is the same team who beat the Bills convincingly a couple weeks ago. And I know that they were without Michael Penix Jr. in this game, and I get it. You could see it in that effect of that team. But to be blown out at home by the Miami Dolphins, who have been one of the worst teams in football this year, who are without Tyreek Hill, it's an absolute joke. The fact that you couldn't get the ground game going against this defense is an absolute joke. The Atlanta Falcons are an untrustworthy team. And in an NFC that is absolutely loaded with Green Bay, Philly, Detroit, Tampa Bay, the Rams, Seattle, the Niners, the list goes on. This team will not be a playoff team. They will not be a playoff team. They'll be a fun 7-8 win team who week to week apparently can beat anybody and also can apparently lose to anybody. The Falcons are untrustworthy. I'll say it. They're these are games you have to win, bro. If you're Atlanta, these are games you have to win. And they dropped the ball. For Miami, hey, listen, flowers where they're due. Because I come up on here week after week, and I'm willing to make the Tua turn the ball over jokes and talk that ish about him. Tua balled, man. 20-26, 4 touchdowns, no picks, a 138.6 passer rating. How you doing, Tua? How you doing, Tua? Jalen Wright gets more involved, so that 3 RB set seems to be working pretty decently for the Miami Dolphins. 141 rushing yards in this game. Jalen Waddle has been tasked with stepping up into this wide receiver 1 role now that Tyreek Hill is hurt, and his injury obviously similar to Scadaboo's, where it's like, hey, this guy's done for the year, and at Tyreek's age, it's kind of like, is this guy going to come back? Like, and even if he does, I think that Jalen Waddle will fully be the wide receiver 1 going forward. So it's obviously very nice to see him produce in that role if you are Miami. I don't think he gets moved at the deadline. I've seen some speculation of, could they move Jalen Waddle? It's not happening at the deadline, but for Miami, a solid win here, man. The New York Jets win what was a very thrilling game, 39-38 over the Cincinnati Bengals for their very first win of the season. Justin Fields was in at quarterback. We thought all week it was going to be Tyrod Taylor. It turns out that it was Justin Fields, as Tyrod popped up on the injury report and could not play. I thought Fields played a decent game. I still don't love Justin Fields as a starting quarterback. I'm going to be honest. I think that the real spot that the Jets won this game was just on the ground. Breece Hall averaged 7.4 yards per carry. Isaiah Davis, 9.3. The team had 254 total rushing yards. Breece Hall even went and threw a touchdown in this football game. Super spread around. We got, 9 different guys that caught a pass in this one? Yeah. So super spread out offense. Really, really good stuff there in terms of just moving the ball around. The Cincinnati defense is just pretty bad, and this is kind of how we envisioned the Bengals season looking with and without Joe Burrow. Joe Flacco, Joe Burrow, you're going to have those thrilling wins that they had on Thursday Night Football where you're able to march down the field with how good that offense is against Pittsburgh and get a win, and you're going to have games where 38 points isn't enough for you to win. Listen, did Joe Flacco play a perfect game in this? No, but at the end of the day, 38 points in the NFL should be enough to win. And the Bengals defense is still and always was a problem. And it was always going to be a reason that maybe not with Joe Burrow, they're dropping games to the Jets, but why they're always dropping games to lesser talented teams. And it happened again. And the Bengals are organizationally flawed. The amount of money that they gave to T. Higgins to have one catch for 44 yards and 2 targets could have gone to multiple defensive pieces to make it so that they would have won this football game. And I love T. Higgins. I think T. Higgins is underrated. I think T. Higgins could be a wide receiver 1 in this league. I think he's certainly a top 30 guy in the sport. But you have Jamar Chase. You have Chase Brown. You could draft a rookie and have spent that money on a guard and on some defensive players. They didn't. And this is kind of the bed that they lie in. Every game's going to have a shootout feel. With Flacco there, it's going to be fun for my fantasy players. Keep firing your Bengals players out there. But this is the reality of the Cincinnati Bengals, man. And I hate to say it, even with Burrow, I think this is the world that they're living in, where there's going to be multiple opportunities a year. I mean, seriously, if Cincinnati wins this game, they're 4-5. Pittsburgh was falling last night. Or not, they're 4-4, excuse me, not 4-5. They're 4-4, and Pittsburgh was 4-3. And Baltimore still was a ways back. Like, if Cincinnati could have won this game, they were live for the division. And now I'm sitting here thinking, could a team that possibly just lost to the New York Jets go and compete for a playoff spot? Probably not. It's brutal to see. RIP Nick Mangold, disaster story. Breaks your heart to see it. Jets get a win. I'm not, listen, I'm not pushing spiritual agendas on anybody, but to me, felt like maybe there was a little something there. New England Patriots absolutely dominate the Cleveland Browns, 32-13. The Patriots move to 6-2. Drake May, just another solid day at the office, man. 18-24, 282, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick, a 135.8 passer rating. How you done, Drake May? Travion Henderson finally. Who told y'all about Travion Henderson? Who told y'all for weeks that the New England Patriots needed more Travion Henderson? Now, did he fumble in this game? Maybe. We'll see if that gets him put on the bench by Vrabel again. But the man averaged 7.5 yards per carry against a defense that has been stifling to the run all year, and Ramondre Stevenson averaged 2.4 yards per carry. I think this could be the start of something for Travion. I really do. And if the Patriots can get a 2-dimensional offense going consistently, because 32 points against the Browns defense isn't nothing, okay? Like, it's something. I think the Patriots can really mess around and make some noise in the playoffs if they have a consistent run game, man. Because once that weather gets colder, you got to be able to run the football. And New England just can't at this point in time. Myles Garrett absolutely obliterated their offensive line. He finished the day with 5 sacks, I'm pretty sure, right? Like 5 sacks. Myles Garrett. I've seen a lot of people online like, oh my God, free Myles Garrett, poor Myles Garrett. The man just signed a massive extension this offseason. I was with you, but the man chose the money to stay in Cleveland. Cleveland should have moved him. Cleveland still should. If you can get multiple ones for a Myles Garrett, see you later. You could have 5 sacks. We're still losing by 3 scores. You were great to our, a great player for our team, but we stink. Dylan Gabriel, not it, by the way. I'm not saying Shador's the answer, but let me see it. Just let me see it. They're going into their bye week. We'll see what comes out of that for Cleveland. For New England, they still have one of the easiest, if not the easiest schedule remaining. I expect them to continue to win football games. Drake May is on that verge for me of being a top 10 quarterback in the sport. I know people are ready to anoint him number one, Dave Portnoy, and I know people are ready to give him an MVP award. I'm pumping the brakes a little bit on that, but I do certainly like what I'm seeing out of this New England team. And I'm not being hyperbolic. With their strength of schedule remaining, the AFC playoffs could run through Foxborough. The Buffalo Bills took care of business in Carolina, and I feel like for Bills fans, I owe them just a sense of giving their flowers. I had done the podcast double coverage, episode 3 with Javon. We had talked about our most disappointing teams for the first 7 weeks of the season. I had Buffalo in there and got some real pushback. For me, Buffalo should have been 6-0. Instead, they were 4-2. They had lost 2 in a row going into their bye. They were very, very disappointing. I thought that this was a game that Buffalo not only needed to win, but they needed to show people like who the hell they are. Like, we're the Buffalo Bills. Still flex your muscle and say we could still go to the Super Bowl. And I think they did just absolutely that. James Cook, 19 for 216 and 2 touchdowns. For those that don't know, my dad and uncle and grandfather are Bills fans. And every single week, without fail, and if you guys are watching, love you, but every single week, without fail, if James Cook has a good week, somebody shoots the text. James Cook sure can cook. Let James Cook cook. It's just such an older guy message, but I love y'all. I love y'all. So, yeah, James Cook certainly cooked. Josh Allen, he had a really solid day. When you win 40-9, man, like, yeah, the Bills were good. The Panthers were bad. Bryce Young not out there. Andy Dalton, hang up them cleats, boy. It's over for you. It is over. Rico Dowdle still really solid. They're still trying to figure out this Chuba Hubbard situation. Chuba scores the touchdown. I don't know if they're ever going to figure it out. Tedero McMillan, kind of a quiet 7 for 99 just because of the situation of the game. But Carolina 4-4. Again, they're kind of a frisky little squad, but Buffalo making it known, flexing their muscles, saying, hey, we're still a Super Bowl caliber team. How you down? The Baltimore Ravens beat the ever-living crap out of the Chicago Bears. I know the score just says 30-16. We'll talk about Baltimore in a second. The Chicago Bears in this game, I'm not a Bears fan. Like, you see the hat, like, you guys know, were frustrating as hell to watch. Caleb Williams, this was, to me, his worst game of the season when you consider the circumstances and what he actually did on the football field. For example, lay the field, because obviously Baltimore looked decent in this game, but going into it, Baltimore had the worst defense in the NFL in terms of opposing points per game. Baltimore's starting quarterback, Lamar Jackson, was not playing. They were onto a backup quarterback. Baltimore was 1-5, and the Chicago Bears had just won 4 in a row. All the momentum was in favor of Chicago, and Baltimore didn't even have their superstar MVP quarterback Lamar Jackson back for this game. This is a game that if the Chicago Bears are going to be taken seriously, and if they were going to compete for a playoff spot, that they win. Similar to the way that I just talked about the Atlanta Falcons losing to the Dolphins. That's a game you gotta win. This was a game that Chicago had to win, and they didn't. And it falls at the feet of Caleb Williams, man, because he played terrible. Yeah, the QBR isn't even that bad if we're being honest. On a scale of like 1 to 100, 65 is pretty average. I thought Caleb played a really bad football. Ben Johnson right now with Caleb Williams to me feels like Shane Steichen did with Anthony Richardson. There is more time for Caleb, and I'm not saying, oh my God, like bench Caleb right now and go trade for. I'm not suggesting that. But the frustration that Steichen and the Colts had with Anthony Richardson for not being able to complete the simple plays is there with Caleb Williams. I could watch Caleb scramble around the pocket, make a Madden type throw to DJ Moore, and go pick up 40 yards. And that's all cool and well. The problem is Caleb Williams can't keep an offense on script, can't hit the easy routes, and can't get his receivers the ball fluidly, where they're having to stop to catch it instead of they can run through the catch and get additional yards. This offense, listen, Rome Odunze is a star. No doubt about it. DJ Moore is really good. No doubt about it. I think Loveland has high end potential. But it all falls on the shoulders of Caleb Williams. And he shows flashes, man. And maybe this is a learning year, and by the end of the year, he's got it. Because I hate holding last year against him, where obviously he had two offensive coordinators, both of which sucked. Eberflus gets fired. Like, that's a shitty situation for any rookie to be in. But I feel, are we looking at Trevor Lawrence 2.0? Where the prospect coming in was viewed so good, we blamed the coaching staff for the first year, and now here we are. The guy's gotten paid a massive extension, and he still sucks. Is that where we're going to be with Caleb Williams? It was just a disaster. For the Baltimore Ravens, man, Tyler Huntley, flowers. Because, well, for starters, the whole practice, not practice report, whatever, with Lamar Jackson was obviously very, very confusing. But for this team in this spot in this game, Tyler Huntley stepped in and played really, really good ball, man. Derrick Henry, he was really solid. And now Baltimore's got Miami on Thursday night, and all of a sudden, the Steelers got the Colts on Sunday. So all of a sudden, Baltimore might be 3-5, and the Steelers might be 4-4. And they haven't even played each other yet this year. So after all the shit that happened in the first 2 months of the season, it's becoming ever more likely that the Baltimore Ravens win the division and are back in the playoffs and are hosting a playoff game. But hey, man, 2-5 is a lot better than 1-6. So shout out to Tyler Huntley for what he was able to do in a big spot against a good Bears defense. Not great, but good. The Houston Texans took care of business against the 49ers, 26-15. There's a lot to talk about from the Houston's. Again, we talked about this with the 49ers, and I'm just going to be quick with them. The Mac Jones situation, there's only so much time a backup quarterback can have. And I know it was fun to make jokes about Mac Jones or Brock Purdy. What's the future of this team? Brock Purdy doesn't have this. Eventually, Mac, the limitations are seen. Eventually, Wentz, the limitations are seen. Great coaching and stuff from Kevin O'Connell and Kyle Shanahan, and these offensive game plans can make these backups look good and serviceable more than a lot of teams can. But at the end of the day, they need their starting quarterback back. They need Brock Purdy back, absolutely. And the Houston Texans have one of, if not the best defense in football. So that was a massive difference in this game. I believe that and I want to go to the team stats here because I think it's important to show this. Look at the time of possession. Houston 41, San Francisco 18. As much as I want to say there's limitations with Mac Jones, and there is, the Houston Texans offense dominated this game. And there's two different, camps that you could look at this in. The injuries finally caught up to the 49ers, and their defense is going to be bad going forward. Or did the Houston Texans find something, man? They brought in a new offensive coordinator. There was a lot of new offensive line pieces. 2 rookie wide receivers, Jalen Noel and Jaden Higgins, who played a lot better in this game. And this is without Nico Collins, by the way. I think it's possible the Houston Texans offense found something in this football game. Now, to be clear, San Francisco wasn't able to get a pass rush in this game. CJ Stroud was comfortable, and look at what CJ Stroud does, by the way, when he's comfortable. 30 of 39, 318, 2 touchdowns, the 1 pick, an 88, but the 1 pick was right before halftime. So, it wasn't a great throw, but wasn't, this, oh no, what happened? 88.3 QBR, which I love QBR. And it's on a scale of 1 to 100. That's a really good grade, a 106.6 passer rating. Woody Marks able to run the ball. This Houston Texans offense, if it can get to middle of the pack with that defense, I believe they could still make some noise and be a playoff team in the AFC, man. And you see, when CJ Stroud, if the Texans are ever able to get him a real offensive line in a clean pocket, CJ Stroud absolutely can cook. And you saw it in this football game. This was a very impressive, much-needed victory from the Houston Texans, who, by the way, were on a short week. We're coming back from Seattle. A lot of potential things that, could slow a team down. They took care of business in this game, and it was a really, really important win for Houston, I felt. Going into their bye week, super shorthanded, Tampa Bay takes care of New Orleans 23-3. The Tampa Bay defense was absolutely the MVP of this game. Antoine Winfield had about 3, maybe 4 defensive touchdowns just taken away in this game. The officiating in that Eagles-Giants game was pretty bad, but The officiating in this Buccaneers-Saints game was also not that great. Baker was okay. Nothing I mean, this team is just absolutely obliterated. I think Igbuka's still playing a little bit hurt, and no team needed a bye quite like Tampa Bay did. I mean, you could just see they are very limited when it comes to their options. I think their defense did a carry job in this one for New Orleans. They'll be drafting a quarterback this year. I think Spencer Rattler started the year well, but we've seen a couple games in a row now of some bad play from him. And Tyler Shuck just, I mean, he stinks. I still can't believe the New Orleans Saints took Tyler Shuck over Shedeur Sanders. That one I'll never understand. You could say whatever you want to me about Shedeur. No, I can't. I'm sorry. I'm not going to buy it. Shaheed, I think he's a name to watch at the deadline. I think Rashid Shaheed could be on the move. I think that 12 targets in this game, 9 for 75, a team that wants a deep threat either for this year or going forward, whether it's like a team like Buffalo or New England bringing in a guy for this year, or a team like the Giants just bringing in another guy for their core for next year. I think Shaheed's a name to watch at the deadline, but Tampa took care of business. The Denver Broncos put a beat down on the Dallas Cowboys, 44-24. I mentioned it in last week's reaction video. I believed that the Denver Broncos found something offensively in the fourth quarter of that game versus the Giants. I thought things started to click for Bo Nix, and that showing off his mobility, maybe some more plays on the run, we're going to be able to get this offense where it needed to be for Bo Nix in the passing game. This week, 19-29, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, an 82.8 passer or QBR, a 117.4 passer rating. I thought Bo played really good. You could argue it was his best game ever as a pro. Him and Troy Franklin, that Oregon duo, how you doing? Having a good connection, 6 for 89 and 2 touchdowns. Sutton is obviously still really solid. And the run game, 179 rushing yards. RJ Harvey has a 3-touchdown day, the rookie that they drafted. Dobbins is still 15 for 111, 7.4 a carry. Again, yes, Denver has one of the best rushing attacks in the NFL. That is true. Dallas also still has a really bad rush defense. I thought last week, because they were able to man up against the backup and third string receivers that the Commanders had out there, made them look better than they were. That was absolutely the case. Denver is a well-oiled machine, a fantastic defense. They have a real pass rush. They have a real run game. And if Bo Nix can play at this level, Denver is a real viable threat out the AFC. Because come playoff time, come cold weather, defense and rushing attack will win you football games. Yes, your quarterback's going to have to make plays, but I think Bo can make them, man. Denver is really, really starting to impress me. I will say that. Denver is really, really starting to impress me. The Dallas Cowboys, this is going to be their season, man. Ups and downs, highs and lows. When they run into an elite defense that can slow down their offense just a little bit, and Dak played a really bad game. Dak was really bad in this football game. And Dak, Dak's had a really good season, so I'm not going to kill him for it. I know it's fun to take your victory laps on Dak and yada, yada, but Dak's had a really good season, so I'm not going to kill him for this game. It's a tough defense, tough place to play. But when Dak isn't perfect and isn't on his money, Dallas is going to get blown out. It's just what's going to happen. So for Denver, to me, they look as live as I think that they've looked in years to go to a Super Bowl, or at least compete in the AFC playoffs. And for Dallas, similar to Chicago and similar to Atlanta, who were frisky teams that were out of my playoff picture, but potentially creeping on in, they take a step back, man. And luckily for the Niners, all those teams lost a game. The Indianapolis Colts, man, the NFL's most well-oiled machine, pick up a victory over the Tennessee Titans, 38-14. Jonathan Taylor. We talked earlier about Jalen Hurts being in MVP conversations. Jonathan Taylor needs to be in MVP conversations. 12 carries, 153 yards, averaging 12.8 a carry, 2 touchdowns. He had another receiving touchdown in this game, so 3 touchdowns. The last 3 times he's played Tennessee, he scored 3 touchdowns on them. This man has already had 4 3-touchdown games this season. He is one more 3-touchdown game away from tying LaDainian Tomlinson's record. The man broke off an 80-yarder in this game. Jonathan Taylor not only should be in MVP conversations, right now it's a lock offensive player of the year if he doesn't win the MVP, but I believe Jonathan Taylor may have reclaimed the throne of best running back in football that he had in like 2021, 2022. Now, usually I wait a full season before I go and re-up rankings and get, because you don't want to live in the moment, and you especially didn't want to live in the first month of the season. But 8 weeks in is a pretty good sample size, man. And ain't nobody doing it the way JT is doing it right now. Jonathan Taylor, I mean, the Colts offensive line is being very nice as well. But Jonathan Taylor is absolutely that dude. And the Colts are absolutely alive, man. Daniel Jones, 21-29, 272, 3 touchdowns, 136 passer rating. We talked about JT. Michael Pittman had one of the craziest touchdown catches of the weekend. I get it if you weren't watching this game. I love watching JT play. He's on my fantasy team. You done. But Michael Pittman, I got the ball here. So first time doing a little show here. Let me open up the screen. Michael Pittman. So normally you catch a one-hander, it's like this. Michael Pittman, dead ass, caught a ball like this. Like he didn't use his hand. He caught it like the ball came in and he went like that into the end zone to catch that touchdown. I've never seen it. I've never seen a touchdown catch like that. It was wildly impressive. So shout out Michael Pittman. The Titans again. I feel like we're on repeat every week. They just don't have the talent. DK, he's looking pretty good for them. Rookie wide receiver, could be something to build there. Elik Eomanire, Tajay Spears came back and looked nice. So maybe some pieces of a young offensive core of Ward, Spears, DK, Helm got his first touchdown in this game, starting to develop, but there's miles in between these two teams. So the Colts are really good and the Titans are really bad. And then the Sunday Night Football game, man. Green Bay, everything you love about Green Bay was just put on show in this game. Jordan Love had a really, really big game. Tucker Kraft, I mentioned it last night. I'll say it again. I think he is developing into a clear #1 target for Jordan Love, which the Packers didn't have the last few years, which is why it's why I really didn't believe in them last year to be able to go on a run. They went into Philly. It felt like on those third downs, they didn't have a dependable guy to throw to, and it felt like it killed them. Now, I feel like Tucker Kraft is that guy for them. He's a guy that they can depend on, and they will. And Josh Jacobs doesn't have a big game tonight, but their offense is certainly two-dimensional. They have a real pass rush. They have real guys in that secondary. Green Bay is as legit could be. And for Pittsburgh, man, Rodgers, I think, is playing fine. And the offense was never going to be super dynamic. The defense is the problem this year. They can't tackle. They can't guard the pass. I believe like they're 31st in the NFL right now in passing yards per game. Their run defense is hit or miss week to week. They're wildly inconsistent. They commit a lot of negative plays. And once the offense gets off script and is behind the sticks, they don't have dynamic enough players to get them back ahead. You talk about a team that could use another receiver. Pittsburgh, they're working out MVS today, but they need better than MVS. This thing's coming off the rails for Pittsburgh. And listen, if the defense keeps the track that it is, I don't think it's impossible that Mike Tomlin gets fired this year. So those were my week 8 NFL reactions. We're 2 months into the NFL season. How are you feeling about your team? How are you feeling about the teams around the league? Let me know in the comment section down below. If you made it this far in the video, I'd appreciate it if you hit the thumbs up button. It lets me know that you guys are messing with these kind of videos. If you're not yet subscribed to the channel and you love the NFL, we're just 8 subs away from the 400 mark. Let's get this channel booming and grooving. How you done? I will catch you next time. Peace.